out there, everybody? What's going on? This is Miho from the Too Close to Call podcast, joined with my big ugly friend,
Pags.
There he is. What's going on? I feel like you're going to enjoy this podcast.
I love this podcast. I'm starting to get it now.
Yeah, especially since we finally came up with a name.
Thank God.
Right? That took longer than it should
The
have.
TBD podcast wasn't working.
Well, we're talking around the NFL.
Yes.
And we're going to title it Intentional Grounding.
10 yards from the spot of the foul in high school.
Yeah, okay.
In high school. That's my. I understand.
That's your world. Okay.
I understand in the NFL it is from the spot of the foul.
But I'm thinking here, intentional grounding, very relevant because typically it's not a great decision when it happens.
Right.
And we're not going to make a lot of great decisions here on this podcast.
Right.
We're going to make a lot of bad predictions.
For sure.
And then I'm going
We're
to
going to be wrong more than we're not.
Instead of like 7 crazy nights where that's a technical foul.
When
When you're going wrong, I'm going to go, that's intentional grounding.
Loss of down.
What are we doing here around the NFL? There's not a lot going on right now.
Well, you know what? We have about 5-6 weeks until training camp kicks off. So I thought, why don't we take a dive into every division in the next couple weeks? And then by the time training camp rolls around, we'll have our little overview of every division.
This will be perfect because this will give us the insight on winning money come the fall because we're going to know everything there is to know about every team, right?
No doubt. So I thought, why don't today we do two?
Two what?
2 divisions.
Okay.
We'll go AFC West, AFC South.
Okay.
Stick with the AFC for today.
Where are we starting? South or west?
Let's go West.
West? Okay. Who's in the West?
So
remind the people of what happened last year.
Last year, this division had the AFC favorite, Kansas City Chiefs, at 12-4.
Okay.
And the San Diego Chargers, the first wild card team, at 12-4. So
right.
2 really good
teams.
2
playoff teams.
And then you got the Broncos.
The Broncos
who are
kind of lost in this whole thing.
But
who's
kind
the
of
last
right
team
in
there?
the ship there. The Raiders.
Oh, yeah. Hard Knocks. Let's go.
Raiders.
This is a quality division. We got a lot of storylines going on.
There are more storylines than we know what to do with in this division.
Okay, so let's rifle through the teams then here. And what I did while you were talking there and pulling up the teams is I was able to get the over-unders for 2019. So that'll give us a little bit better of a feel about what we're looking at. And you mentioned it, the Chargers and Chiefs, the top 2 teams here, with the Chiefs coming in on top, over-under 10.5 for this year. Do you think they can do it again? Patrick Mahomes, do it again, Pags.
I mean, with Mahomes, you always have that. Is he going to come down from what he did last year?
He had
was
over 50.
Unbelievable last year.
50 touchdowns.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Too many touchdowns.
Too many. And with Tyreek Hill gone now,
Yeah, okay.
Kareem Hunt gone now,
Oh, my God.
I'm going to say under.
Do you think he gets close to those marks, still missing those 2 people? Like, what do you think's going to pan out there?
I could see
Under
them
10?
at
You think
10
they're going to go
wins.
from 12 to 10?
I think they'll have 10-6.
You don't think Mahomes is going to get better to the point where those subtractions are not going to matter and they'll be able to insert a couple of other options? Because they still got Kelsey. And,
correct.
You know, he's the best receiving tight end in football. Him and Ertz one, too.
I just watching the Chiefs last year, I know they did it without Kareem Hunt down the stretch there.
Yep.
But Tyreek Hill was that guy that they just threw it up to him and he made a play. So
there's an argument to be made, too, that the defense may be even better, even though they made a bunch of additions and subtractions. I know
they get Frank Clark from the Seahawks.
Yeah, and
Tyrann Mathieu.
That guy, the Honey Badger.
Yeah, the Honey Badger.
That was the one I was thinking. And I'm like, okay, those are 2 solid names here. But
Alex Okafor, Emmanuel Agba.
I don't really know those guys.
Bashan Breeland, he was another name at the corner. And then they add Carlos Hyde as maybe Kareem Hunt's replacement.
Well, that's what I'm
saying. Nothing close to what Kareem Hunt is.
Yeah, but still, not a slouch.
Yeah, but you lose Justin Houston, D Ford. Obviously, those are taken over by Frank Clark and Alex Okafor. So I guess you don't really miss them. And Eric Berry's gone. Finally, he's left Kansas City. So a lot of names here, and it doesn't even have Tyreek Hill on here because no one knows what the hell's going to happen with that.
Sure.
I would bet he's not going to be playing this year.
So if you have them at 10 wins in the under, the Chargers are at 9.5. Do you think this is the year they finally take over and win one? Phillip Rivers seems to be right there every time.
I do.
Just the bridesmaid.
I think he's
okay.
11-5,
Going
12-4 team. They add Thomas Davis from the Panthers.
Okay, the linebacker.
Solid linebacker there. They have Bosa. They have Ingram. So that defense is nasty.
Rivers is getting old.
And they have the kid out of Florida State, the safety they have there. I can't think of his fucking name right now. Whatever. He was the rookie of the year last year. And did not lose many people. Antonio Gates retires, lose Tyrell Williams, but dude, this offense and this defense is nasty.
I think they're both going to be right around 11 wins, so that's over for both of them in my book. I don't think the Chiefs will regress as much as people think they will, just because Andy Reid is smart enough to put Mahomes in the right position, and I think Mahomes is so good. So he's going to take over for that. I obviously don't know the schedule, but the other two rounding out seem to be penciled in there as kind of the bottom two. We really don't know.
Let's start with the one that's not as eye-opening right now.
Which
the
one?
Denver Broncos.
Their over-under is at 7.
Bro Flacco.
I think that's kind of high for them.
Yeah, I do too.
You're going to go under 7?
Considering I'm looking at this key additions thing, and their first key addition is O-line coach Mike Munchak. That's not a good sign for the
Flacco,
team.
But they did win 6 games last year with Keenum. So
yes,
that's only one more game. And again, not knowing their schedule, I don't know. I'm still taking the under. I think the other two teams at the top will beat up on them a little bit. And ultimately, I think that's going to be the Raiders' downfall too. They could bounce back with the craziness that they've had this offseason, but it seems to be even a little bit with the Browns last year. Hard Knocks may impede just a little bit on what we're thinking.
I think the Raiders' year is in 2 years when the BS of going to Vegas is over and they're in Vegas and settled in and all these dudes kind of know how to play with each other. Maybe they don't have Derek Carr next year. Maybe they have somebody else there. Maybe a Matthew Stafford, somebody like that. So
no,
I would say that the Raiders probably, what's their over-under?
6.
See, I think that's like right on.
I'll go over 6. There. I'm going to go over because reading a tidbit here, the only winning season the Raiders have had in the last 18 years is when Derek Carr had the same offensive coordinator back-to-back years.
Okay.
So that apparently is the case this year. A little bit of stability for him, as we've talked about with rookie quarterbacks. A lot of it has to do with the situation that you're put into. And if you're constantly learning new offenses, new lingo, you're never going to improve in the system. Right. It's just
Ask Sam Bradford.
Yeah, you're almost a rookie all over again. You know, you're so limited. So depending on Gruden, who was a quarterback whisperer, a quarterback whisperer.
I don't think John Gruden's a very good coach.
He had a television show about quarterback gurus.
He may be a quarterback guru, but I don't think he's a very good coach. I don't think he knows what he's doing.
Who's their defensive coordinator?
So their defensive coordinator is Paul Guenther out of Cincinnati Bengals.
I like Paul Guenther.
Yeah.
He's a bro.
And you've seen when Gruden had success, it was a really good defense down in Tampa.
Right. So to your point, I don't know if he's going to be coaching the whole squad. I think he's going to let Guenther do his thing on defense, and that's why Perfect's in the building because of the Cincinnati background. But with Derek Carr, who's obviously got talent, we said he was close to winning an MVP, and you don't just roll out of bed and do that.
Right.
And now he's got the best receiver in football.
Definitely.
Right? Like, we'll see. I feel like that's enough of a weapon, and we've seen Brown can get open no matter what, that he'll be able to make something up there and score some points. I think they're going to be competitive.
When you throw all these new names into one big pot, it tends to take a year.
And they're
that's
big
what
ego
I think.
names, man. The dream team.
So I would say probably 6 is about right. Maybe I could probably be coerced to say maybe 7.
Say don't push it. That's right on 6. Over, under.
Over.
There
7.
you go.
7 or 8.
I like it. Denver, over, under. 7. Under.
Under.
Yeah, me too. So, all right, you said then you wanted to do the West and the
South.
Okay, that is the Jaguars.
Texans, Colts, Jaguars, and Titans.
Where'd they end up last year? Because that division was actually more competitive.
Yeah, they always have this division where you're like, it just always
some years they're good, some years they're bad, but it's competitive.
It's always competitive, and the teams always, like 2 years ago, the Titans go and beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. So you're like, okay, I guess these teams are okay. So you got the Texans 11-5 last year.
Okay, yep.
Bill O'Brien kind of figured it out. They went on that 9-game winning streak, and then they lose the Eagles, and then lost in the first.
And then the Colts were right there.
Colts 10-6 won a playoff game. The Colts beat the Texans in the first round of the playoffs last year. This division, I mean, you got the Titans 9-7 last year, and then the Jaguars with a down year after going to the AFC Championship 2 years ago with Blake Bortles. Now bringing in Big Nick.
There it is.
Coming in at 5-11 with longtime Too Close to Call podcast listeners. I have a bold prediction of Nick Foles will make the playoffs this year with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's right. So you're taking the over. Hell, we might as well start there because their over-under is currently at 8, and 8-8 ain't getting you there, Pags.
Yeah, I mean.
So you can give me your $100 now because the over is plus 115, and come January, I'll give you $215 back.
Sounds good.
Throw it on the table, Mr. Batter.
So I will say over for the Jaguars. I see them as a 10-win team, adding Nick Foles, Chris Conley from the Chiefs as a receiver, and then just the defense coming back another year. I think Ramsey and all them are going to...
Well, 2 years ago, they almost made it to the Super Bowl against the Eagles, and then just something happened in the locker room last year, and I think it was as simple as giving Bortles $20 million to not be very good. So if that defense can get back on the same page and turn things around... There's no reason I can't get the over.
You knew things were wrong when you were out in London playing the Eagles and guys are dipping out on bar tabs the day before the game.
We didn't have to pay for this? What's going on? But how about their most recent addition? You think they'll get anything out of Terrell Pryor?
It should be interesting. I think Terrell Pryor stinks, so no. I think he's a very
He burned us once or twice in Washington.
Yeah, but you never really had that fear of, Terrell Pryor, he's going to affect the game.
How about he was like their only option for some of those games? Pretty wild for where they are. And let's see here. Next, right there with the Jaguars, over under at 8, is the Tennessee Titans, who the dark cloud looming over that is... What the heck are they going to do with Marcus Mariota? Is he the guy or isn't he the guy?
I think they're under. I think they're going to have a down year. I bet we see Ryan Tannehill faster than people think this year. So
you're not a Marcus Mariota fan?
No.
Why not?
Never been.
Why not?
I just don't think he can affect the game.
He's won a playoff game.
I understand that, but so has Jay Cutler.
Okay. He doesn't stink.
Jay Cutler stinks.
He was not stink.
Jay Cutler stinks.
Oh, my God.
I mean, come on.
I understand you may not pay Mariota the $30 million, but I think Mariota, he's a starting NFL quarterback, isn't he?
I think it's just his throwing motion freaks me out. I'm like, that ball should not.
I know he's been banged up, and Tannehill's a pretty good insurance policy, although he hasn't stayed healthy in his career, so they're running out a couple of brittle bones there at the quarterback position. That's going to be the key. However, though, the gentleman who came on late and is the fantasy darling this year that is sneaking up and is being picked higher than you think, Derrick Henry. If they can hand the ball off to him, Mariota...
He had a 4-touchdown game last year.
Mariota is going to do his best Dak Prescott impersonation, hand the ball off 30 times a game, only have to throw 20 times, and voila.
And then run a couple touchdowns.
I don't stink as much as I do because I'm only throwing 20, 25 times instead of 40 here.
If he can stay accurate, I think that's one of his biggest issues is... Sometimes he tends to let the ball flail, and then the Titans find themselves in a hole. So they came down to the final game last year against the Colts. So it was a play-in game on Sunday Night Football and got smoked. So
the Colts this year have the highest over-under in this division at 10. And that's where they were last year, right?
Yeah.
10-6, you said. So additions, subtractions, apparently, that's right where Vegas sees them once again.
They had Justin Houston, edge rusher, Devin Funchess, receiver out of the Panthers, and Spencer Ware, running back from the Kansas City Chiefs, who I felt like was in Kansas City forever.
They drafted the speedster out of Ohio State.
Yep.
Campbell, and that's okay. So right there out loud,
and the Temple kid, Rock Ya-Sin.
Red zone options.
Yes,
a lot of options, man. You got Ebron and Funchess, who are both huge dudes that you could throw it up to, and then you're gonna have T.Y. Hilton and Campbell on the outside, who are athletic as all hell. So Andrew Luck has to be feeling good.
Yeah, this is probably the most weapons he's had there in a very long time.
And they had a funky year last year. What, they started 1-4, 1-5, and then
they were 0 when they went into Philly,
8 in a row or something like that. And if they're keeping that rolling
in the South,
I think I'm going to take the over on the Colts, man. I think Frank Reich has them figured out. The over/under is 10. They're going to win another
Again,
game.
I want to say push.
Oh, man, they're going over. They won like 8 or 9 in a row.
I'll go over for them because I think they are going to win
Quentin
this
Nelson's
division.
a monster. If this defense can be anywhere where it was last year, if not a little bit improved, they're certainly going to win another game or two. But that's going to come at the expense of the Houston Texans, who they have at 8.5. So everybody in this division between 10 and 8, like we mentioned, super competitive. 8.5, I think, is a little bit low for them.
8.5.
But if we're going over with the Jaguars, over with the Colts, where are these wins
One of them
coming
has
from?
to go under.
You know what I mean? It's not everybody's going to be 9 and 7.
This is probably the year Bill O'Brien gets fired.
Oh, hot take.
I mean, Deshaun Watson can only do so much on this team.
They had injuries last year. J.J. Watt, all the haters, the doubters. He had a heck of a year. Nobody's talking about him.
Right.
He's got a healthy offseason for the first time in a while.
I think he's going to be a stud this year.
That's what I'm saying,
for sure.
man. They're keeping Clowney.
Losing Tyrann Mathieu, Kareem Jackson, Andre
Okay.
Hall, Kevin Johnson, Demaryius Thomas. Those are 4 key cogs in their secondary.
Okay.
They're not going to stop anybody.
They better get to the quarterback.
All I have to say is they went on that hot streak last year, and I don't know if that was a fluke because they sure look shitty in the playoffs. So,
And it looks like here they got a tough schedule based on a little tidbit I'm reading. So,
well, you know they're going to play the Patriots. They're going to play the Chiefs. They're going to play the Ravens. So there's 4 of the top teams.
Tough games. But ultimately, who's winning that division? Is Jacksonville? Colts are winning, but Jacksonville's a wild card team. So are both the wild card teams coming out of the divisions we just previewed, Pags?
Potentially, yeah. So Kansas City and Jacksonville will be the wild card teams, and Los Angeles and the Colts will win their divisions.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stick with the Colts and the Chiefs, but
Do you think they have wild card teams in these divisions?
the Chargers, I think, will be a wild card team again.
Okay.
Those two will be at the top just because, like we said, the other two, I think
Right.
they'll beat up on. So that's double-digit wins right there if they're at 4-2, 5-1 in the division. This one, I'm a little bit more on the fence, man. Like I said, I think one of them will get to that 10-win mark, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's week 16 or 17 because the NFL does that whole last month of divisional games.
Right.
I think that's going to be decided there. One of them's going to go 2-1 or 3-0, get to that 10-win mark. The other couple are going to dump it.
Put the other divisions in your head. Who is gonna?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
You got the
Pittsburgh.
Patriots and the Ravens and this Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so
the
that's
Browns.
that's TBD. But hang on,
We'll go to those next week.
We're gonna stick in the AFC, do those 2 next week, and ultimately figure out who the hell we have coming out of this conference.
Should be fun. I can't wait for football to get rolling around because there's always something to talk about.
And I can't wait for Bill O'Brien to come out hot so I can go, Pags, that take you had was intentional grounding.
And then at the end of the year, he loses in the
Nick
first
Foles.
round, and they're like, he's gone.
He's gone. Oh, man. But thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Miho and Pags, as always, the Too Close to Call cast. Follow us on Instagram if you guys want to get a laugh or a smile. Always posting pretty ridiculous videos on there that'll improve your day. So check that out. Let us know how we can help. And as always, appreciate you listening.
Later, guys.
Peace.